What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Happy realignment season. Today, we're not going to be talking about realignment. We're going to be talking about which group of six team is going to be in that spot. This is going to be my prediction. We're going to go over all of the group of five teams that are in the running as of today. And we're going to be talking about them over their FBI as well as their remaining strength of schedule. And then my prediction on which group of five team will be in there and why. There's currently 6 conferences in the group of 6, but there's only 5 conferences that actually get an auto bid. The Pac-12 does not count. So those 2 teams, they are not eligible. I mean, they're just not a full conference, and the committee has said they're not eligible for an auto bid. So we are going to talk about Oregon State and Washington State because they do only have 1 loss, but they're not going to be in that prediction. Here's all the conferences that are in the group of 6. Mountain West and Pac-12, I put them in together just because they play. That's essentially they play each other, kind of like the agreement that Notre Dame has with ACC. Every team here has 0 or 1 loss except for Tulane. I put Tulane in there in discussion because they have a very strong FBI. The only 2 losses are out of conference, and they're 2 ranked opponents that are still currently ranked today. So I put them in there because they have a strong argument. They could win the American, and depending on how pieces fall, they could be that team that makes it. But I did put them. They're the only 2 losses. Every other team is either undefeated or 1 loss. So we have the Mountain West. We sit pretty with ranked Boise, ranked UNLV. Then we have San Jose State, and then we have the 2 Pac-12 teams. American, we have Tulane, Memphis, Army, Navy, and North Texas. MAC, Eastern Michigan, and Toledo. CUSA is Liberty, St. Houston. Sunbelt is JMU, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, and the Louisiana Monroe. The problem that I have with a lot of these things, we're going to have a little tier list that shows a bunch of what I think these teams are actually rated. Because right now, we're only like 4 or 5 games in. Some teams have had bye weeks. So there's not a real estimate. We're going into conference season. So I don't think that all of these teams are ranked the same, in my opinion. We're not going to go by FBI. We're going to go by my opinion and what I think that's going to happen near the end of the season. I've created a tier list that shows S, A, B, C, and F. S tier means they're going to probably have a huge chance of winning their conference, and they're more than likely going to be selected as the 12th team. A is generally you have a chance to win your conference, but you're probably not going to get selected. B is you're a good program in your conference, but you're probably not going to win it. There's probably certain hurdles that are in your way, either the conference championship or you're going to lose to someone in the middle of the season. As a group of 5, you're probably going to need at least only 1 loss. In the case of Tulane, maybe 2 if the right pieces fall, but Tulane is a very special occurrence because their only losses are 2 very powerful ranked opponents. And then C tier is you're not as good as the ranking is showing you. You're probably going to go 6-6, maybe, and you're probably going to be like right there in the middle of the road. And then F tier, you're probably going to finish the season off with a losing record, more than likely. So we're going to start with S tier. We have Boise, UNLV. Both these teams play each other this season, so we're going to see how that goes and see what it looks like, as well as they have potentially a chance to play each other at the end for the Mountain West Championship. Then we have Tulane. I think Tulane is the best team in the American. Even though they have 2 losses, I think they are better than Memphis. Memphis just lost to a pretty middle-of-the-road group of 6 team. JMU has a great FBI. They're dominating teams. They just blew out North Carolina, which is in the ACC. And their schedule is looking pretty pitiful after this because they don't really play anybody. I think JMU should leave their conference and join a better conference because right now they're very fun to watch, to run up the score, etc., etc. Memphis, I don't think is as good as we thought they were going to be coming into the season. That's why I have them at 8 here, but I do think that they have a huge, strong argument that they could win or even potential compete for the end of the American. Liberty I have as A tier, not S tier. I know Liberty was selected as the group of 5 team. They got lucky. They had all the right pieces fall into play. A bunch of group of 5 teams started losing teams, and they were essentially the final ranked team. I think one more team, I think SMU came in, but they were just 1 point behind, and they were selected. But I don't think it's going to happen again this year. The group of 5 is not beating each other up like they did last year, and there's a lot more talent in some of these group of 5 teams. Navy and Army are both undefeated. I think they're both going to end up losing to Notre Dame because they both play them, and I do think that they're going to lose to the likes of Memphis or Tulane at some point, either in the championship or throughout the season. North Texas is the same. Texas is about the same, but I think they're even worse. I think they're going to lose to Army or Navy. I think they're going to lose to Memphis or Tulane. I don't have them at C tier because I do think they're still a good program within the world they sit, but I don't think that they're going to have as much of a chance as Army and Navy. Moving on to Toledo, you're going to notice that there is no MAC team in A or S tier. I just don't think the MAC is very good this year. They have Northern Illinois did beat Notre Dame, but Northern Illinois has now 2 losses. They're probably out of contention. There's Toledo, which has 1 loss. Their FBI is still a negative number. All of the teams in the MAC are negative. I think Toledo, Bowling Green, Northern Illinois, and Miami are like the top components, but 2 of those teams have 3 losses already. Illinois has 2. Toledo, I don't think, is much different than those programs. I think that Toledo is probably going to lose some games this season, and I think that, yes, the MAC is going to have some strong talented team, but this year I just don't think they're going to be in that discussion, which is why all the MAC teams are at B or lower. F tier, I have Louisiana Raging Cajuns and the Warhawks. I think these teams are probably the worst on this list. They didn't really play anybody at the beginning of the season, and I think they're going to start losing more games as they go into conference play. And I don't think they're going to. I think they might squeeze in bowl eligibility, but I wouldn't put money on it, and that's just my opinion. Moving on, we're going to talk about their FBI of these teams based on ESPN rankings. And I know I have Army and Navy here. They're not part of the A or S tier category, but I do think that since they are undefeated, we have to discuss them, and I think I will give them respect that they deserve as an undefeated program. And they're the worst FBI of the group outside of Liberty, but Liberty's in a bad conference, so they have to be in the discussion because they have a chance to get there. I think they could go undefeated again this year to be in that discussion. So we have Boise and UNLV, both are ranked, and they have the highest FBI here. Then we have Tulane, which is why I discussed them, because they do have a high FBI. They do have a very good program. I know they lost a close one against Kansas State. They lost against Oklahoma, but they are ranked 40 in the FBI rankings, and I do think that they're one of the higher teams in their conference in the American. As you can see, Memphis is 64. That's a significant difference. And then JMU is also 41, which is right outside Tulane. I know JMU doesn't really play anybody. They played North Carolina and put 70 points on them. So I do think that there's a strong case to be made that JMU is a good team and they could compete at this highest level. Memphis, Liberty, Army, Navy, I think that they're good programs, but I just don't think they're going to make it in. And you can look at their potential strike the record coming forward, that there is a strong argument that these teams could win out. As you can see, the strength of schedule, this is why I discussed with Liberty that they have a strong argument that they could win out. Their strength of schedule is 130 moving forward, and if they have any kind of talent, I think they could easily beat all of these teams. And Tulane has 106, so I think that they have a strong case that they could win out and win the American. And JMU is the same case. They only have that strong of the schedule, and you can see that all the other programs. I think Boise and UNLV, they play each other, so I think that plays a huge role. Army and Navy is pretty low because they do both play Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is a ranked team as of today, as of writing this video. But I do think that there are a lot of cases for any of these teams to make it. But moving on, we're going to move on to my prediction and what I think which 2 teams will have the best chance to make it and which teams I think are going to get there. So these are the teams that I think have the best opportunity to make it in. I have Boise. I think Boise's going to win the Mountain West. That's my opinion. I think they're going to win out. They're going to beat UNLV, and they're going to win the conference. And if those happen, they're getting in. They are going to be the team that's going to be in there. The team that I want to get in there over Boise State is JMU. I think JMU is a very fun team to watch. They have a huge offensive talent. Their defense is very strong. When you score 70 points on North Carolina, that's no small feat on a 4 team. And I think JMU is a very entertaining program. Boise is also very entertaining, but I do think that JMU, as a newer team within FBS over the last couple of years, especially last year, they weren't even able to go to a bowl game without the right pieces falling into place. So I think that JMU would be my dream. Boise is the team that I would pick to be in the 12 team and be the one that competes and represents these group of 6 talent. And my opinion is I would want that these group of 6 teams to go far into the playoffs instead of just losing first round, because it allows a more validity to these programs. Because whenever we talk about conference realignment, Big Ten, SEC, it's always just like all these, it's either Big Ten, SEC, or nothing. And then if you really talk to anyone who's in the SEC who talks about the SEC, they're like, it's SEC or nothing, because they're like, we don't really compete on the same level as Big Ten. And I think that's unfair. And I don't think that's a really good description of these programs, because I think there's a lot of rich history and a lot of good talent at these teams. So I would love to see a group of 6 or group of 5 make it to the final game or even win it all. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Peace.